I was a teacher at Bessie Carmichael for the last 5 years, and I'm really excited to join the Department of Technology team to also help teachers use technology more, and which we need to do now.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to put the presentation back up, and we will get started. So this is the bit.ly for the presentation, bit.ly/backpack DDD for Digital District Day. The B and the D's are capitalized, and bit.ly is case sensitive. So if you were trying to type that in, you will need to observe the correct capitalization. That link is in the chat. Xander will probably put it many more times in the chat because he is very on top of things. But it is also at the bottom of every single slide, so you can find it there. No need to hurry through writing it down. So our mission at the San Francisco Unified School District is that every day we provide each and every student the quality, instruction, and equitable support required to thrive in the 21st century. And so as we think about this mission within the Department of Technology, we think about how we provide equity of access and equity of opportunity with technology. And you can read more about the details of that as well. So I have heard that there are only 3 things that you can ever expect anyone to remember, people will only ever remember 3 things from a presentation, so I'm hoping that maybe we'll get a few more. But if there are only 3 things that you take away from this, the 3 things are that we ask you to use approved applications and websites with students. The applications and websites that we have recommended have been vetted for privacy and security, and we want to make sure that you are using the things that will keep students' information safe. The second thing that I'd like for you to remember, if possible, is to use Clever. Clever is a really great tool that makes it easier to use all of these resources. And finally, we want to let you know that we are here to help. The Departments of Curriculum and Instruction and Department of Technology all want to make it easier to use these resources. We're not just saying, here's a thing, go use it. We are here to help. And part of the reason we have tried to highlight certain applications is that so we are able to develop deeper knowledge and make sure that these things are aligned to the district's curriculum. So 3 main points. Please use approved applications to protect students' privacy and safety. Please use Clever. It makes it really easy. And finally, you're not here alone. We want to do everything we can to help support you. Introductions, we did those. So one thing that comes up a lot is, what's up with the backpack? What is it? What is it for? How does it relate to Google Classroom or Seesaw? Is it a third thing? And I like to think that the backpack's actually a pretty good name. Seesaw and Google Classroom are how you make assignments for your students. This wonderful, obviously a stock photo of someone putting homework up on the board. That's the sort of thing that you're going to be doing in Seesaw and Classroom. And then the backpack is the stuff that they're going to be using to do it. And that's what we do with Clever. So the idea is you'll be making your assignments in Seesaw and Classroom. It'll be something like read the pages of the book. And then the Clever backpack is where those books are. And to extend the analogy a little further, these might be applications or websites that you are expecting the students to use. And so the backpack is it's a way to collect those apps and make them easy to access, find them in one place and make them easy to use. So that's sort of the difference between Seesaw and Classroom and the backpack and Clever. And to extend that a little bit more, We have all of our approved applications at SFUSD that's represented by this gray circle. Most of them are good, but the ones that are in Clever have these extra features of that I'll walk you through later that makes them easier to use. I've seen a lot of commentary in the chat about what is and is not in the backpack. I don't choose that. That is determined by the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. If you have questions about what they have approved and not approved, please bring it up with them. It's not something I control. It's not something the Department of Technology controls. It's really a question for the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. I understand that there might be things that you want that would be better, but these are sort of it's a discussion for CNI and not really for this presentation. So there's this universe of approved applications, and many of them are in Clever, and that has the advantage of making them easier to set up and log into, which I'll show you in a second. And then there's the stuff that you have access to. That's your digital backpack, and that's going to be different depending on your site and grade. You're not going to see everything that's in Clever. It's going to be specific to what's appropriate for your subject, your site, your grade span, what your site has purchased, or what various pilot programs you're in has purchased. So just in the same way that a student would never carry around every single book in the library in their backpack, your backpack only has the applications that are specific to you. I just want to make one more plug for why you use the backpack apps and why you don't use just whatever applications you find on the internet. It is because those applications have not been checked for student privacy and security. That we have federal obligations to protect student data privacy. We have state obligations. We have board policies. And we have a moral obligation to make sure that we are not encouraging our students to do something that exposes their information to inappropriate marketing or phishing or whatever. So if you are using a website that involves any personally identifiable information, it must be on the approved list. That's board policy, it's DOT policy, it's the legal department, it's curriculum instruction, it's LEAD, it's everyone. And this is not because we are being pedantic or buzzkills, it is for the students' protection. And so we hope that you can join us in being protectors of students' privacy. And the sort of information that is covered by student data privacy is remarkably broad. It includes nicknames. It includes email addresses. It includes any time you press that login with Google button. So I want to encourage you to be very cautious. If you are sending students to a website that is just a reference, that has literally no place for them to enter any personally identifiable information, go right ahead. But if there's any way for them to share their name, their email, a nickname, even a first name, any of that stuff, that is legally protected, personally identifiable information, and I want to encourage you to be cautious about how you use it. Not just cautious, but to stick to approved applications as required by the board. On to the fun stuff. You know what? That stuff's annoying. It's boring. It's a pain. That's why we're trying to help out with it. And we help out with it by collecting all the approved applications in one place and putting them on clever.sfusd.edu. Clever is available to everyone. And the first thing I'm going to do is just sort of walk you through the student experience. And of course, that's all popping up on the wrong screen, so I've got to get moved over. So it's available to everyone at clever.sfusd.edu. Both students and teachers can use this login with Google button. Some students will use a Clever badge, and I will show you that in a moment. And so we're going to click the login with Google button, and I'm going to enter the email for my demonstrations teacher. Hopefully I typed that right. Oh, good. Okay, so this is important. Notice You only have to log in once. There's that Google login. And now we have this collection of all of the students, all the teachers' applications. It's all gathered together in one place. So a great example of a tool that you have in the backpack is Newsela. Newsela is a tool that is district funded this year for all students. It takes articles about current events and will allow you to adjust the Lexile level so that they are appropriate to your students. And my friend Xander will talk to you more about that in a moment. But again, I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna click it again just to show you something. I'm gonna click on Newsela. It's not asking me to log in. And that's because one of the many wonderful things, in addition to gathering together all of your resources, is it logs you into your applications for you. You don't have to remember a bunch of different passwords. And you might be thinking, that's pretty easy for me. I'm an adult. But it's hard, can be hard for your students, especially the younger students. And so it's really, really helpful for all of them. And the other thing it does is it sets up your classes. So I have a class of students that in Clever that is synced from Synergy. And so it automatically brings those students over into my Clever classes. So that's a little bit, those are, again, the three sort of most awesome parts of Clever, those functionalities. I'm going to briefly just show you a little bit about what Newsela does. So we have these articles on current events, and they are taken from normal newspapers. You can see this is an article from the Christian Science Monitor. It's text level 12. And the first sentence is this long compound sentence that requires a lot of it's got subsidiary clauses. It requires a bit of context to help to understand. It's not the sort of thing that you would expect your youngest students to be able to grasp easily. And so you can adjust the Lexile level to something that is more appropriate to them. And this drops it all the way down to a third grade level, breaks that long, complex sentence that requires a lot of context to parse into nice short sentences, no commas. It explains the context of her hijab, the sort of thing that you would not want to define for a 12th grader, but because it's important to understanding the context of the story, breaks it down for the third grade level. Yeah, that's just an example of one of the great applications that you have in a Clever and what you can do with it. So I'm going to quickly jump over to, sorry, there's one more. So then I'm going to actually show you Clever badges, which are another cool thing that we'll be using. So this is a standard district Chromebook. It is a little hard to sort of demonstrate this part of the presentation because I've got to do something. I'm going to show you something I'm doing on another computer while you're looking at me. So give me just a second to get this all set up. So if you have students who are getting a pre-K to 12, pre-K to 2 Chromebook from the district, when they open it up, they'll see this screen. And they click on Next. And the other thing they'll get when they get their devices is a Clever badge. This is one that I printed out at the office, but they will have pretty pre-cut laminated badges, and they can log into their computers with their badge. I'm trying to do it without seeing it, so it's there it goes. Ta-da! So the student is logged in without ever having to click anything. Without having to type a password. So that's another amazing thing that Clever does, is they can get logged in without having to remember any password at all. And that will connect them to all their applications without using a username and password. So that is going to improve the login experience. So Xander, I would like to turn it over to you to do a little bit of Newsela demoing. If you need some time to get started, I will work on some of these questions in the chat, and you just let me know when you're ready to go. Does that sound good? You're muted.
Yeah, so let me present my screen. So Newsela is something I am incredibly passionate about as a great resource, and I highly recommend it. And of course, one of the biggest advantages of it is that personalization and that login, that single login. You're pushing something out to students, but it will be pushed out at their right reading level. So you'll see that you've got a number. When you first log in, you have a number of different articles that they're recommending. It's coming up as new, relevant to students. When you assign any of these articles, you will choose which class you will assign it to. I was having trouble getting my demo class up, so unfortunately it is not coming up as the different classes. But you choose whichever class you want here in this section, and then all students, when they log in, are going to see that you have a new assignment from your teacher. And so in this case, music therapists record backyard jams for hospital patients. It will show up in their list of assignments. But what's really great is you'll notice that each Newsela article can be adjusted by level. And it's taken a minute. Now you can assign it, say, well, I teach third grade. I want all the students to see it at a third grade level. But what's even better is if you just assign it without specifying the level, Newsela is going to default to choosing the lexile that's most appropriate for them. So you'll notice here, you can view this at max. That was what it was written for when it was written by the Associated Press, or 830, 710, 560, or 410. These are, 410 is about more of a second grade level, 830 comes closer to a sixth grade level. So you can choose which lexile you want, or you can just assign it and it will automatically have student A open it up at a 410 level, while student B will see it at an 830 level, depending on—
Xander, are you sharing this in another tab, maybe? I'm still seeing the assignment. There we go.
Thank you so much, Aidan.
You are welcome.
Yeah. Sorry, so this is what I was sharing is up here. You can decide which article, which lexile level you're going to share, or you can just assign it and it will show up to that students at their just right level based on the quizzes they've taken in Newsela. So as they take more and more quizzes at Newsela, Newsela gets a better idea of what their right reading level is. So that is why, yeah, it's a great thing. Students all sign in and it's differentiated to their level. And forgive me, Aidan, we only talked about this really briefly. Were there some other things that you really wanted me to touch on?
I think you mentioned that there are assessments that will allow the assignments to be assigned at a specific level. So if, I'm actually not sure how to do that. So if you're able to briefly show our participants how to do that, I think it'd be super useful.
So when you look at, almost every article, with just a few exceptions, will have an associated quiz. And so when you assign it, you have a range of different assignment levels you can give them, including quiz, a writing activity where you can edit the prompt or use a pre-written prompt that they have, or they also have a vocabulary tool. And sorry, I'm trying to see if it's loading, but it's not. And the more times they take quizzes, the more it will refine. However, they do also, if you're going to be setting this up for the first time at the beginning of the year, you can also do reading skills. Oh, now I'm blanking on the
Xander, you need to be sharing your screen. No, we're not seeing anything right now.
Yeah. My computer is very bogged down. You are just missing a spinning ball. So, so I'm going to say, yeah. Yeah, the short answer is that just as you are assigning more and more quizzes, it will just refine. And if you are having students who used Newsela a lot last year, they will be carried over. So if they're logging with their SFUSD address, they'll be able to, they will have their reading level already there from all the work they did in Newsela last year. So check in with the teacher that your students had last year and ask them, hey, did you use Newsela a lot? If so, they're already going to be seeing it at their just right level.
Thank you, Xander. So I'm seeing some questions about teacher pages and resources that are available. And so I think there's a couple pieces of context that I think would be helpful. So the first is that we are not quite at the beginning of the year yet, and we are still working on getting some of these things working. It's not gonna be working yet, and I'm sorry about that. The other question was about the teacher pages. There is not, the teacher pages, honestly, they're not very good. They don't do much. They are really only useful for links. They're not useful for apps. The apps just basically don't work. And so a lot of you talked about, okay, well, how do I move the apps up? Well, the best thing to do is just to encourage your students to use the favoriting functionality, where if they favorite an app, it'll just move it up to the top of their list. Your teacher page is not really going to be useful for that. But I do want to apologize that not everything is working yet. It's just we are planning to have everything ready to go by the first day of school, but it's gonna take a while. I'm seeing a lot of questions about what sort of resources are available. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to go over a bit of that. So it is even easier this year to figure out what is approved. You can just go to sfusd.edu/apps. That's 4 letters. And there's this wonderful resource built by my colleague Stu that describes, it's got all the apps here, but it also talks about, has these useful cues for the grade levels that they're suitable for, whether the application is free, whether it is funded centrally, or whether it needs to be paid for by a site. So as we scroll through this, we see that products like Classroom and Seesaw are available for all, that all these products, Screencastify for screen recordings, is paid for by the by the district, that tools like Socrative and Sutori are available for free, that tools like Spark are available for free. But here we've gotten to a couple of things that need to be paid for at the school site level. There's information about that as well. Google Showcase, if you came to my previous conversation, there was the Graduate Profile Showcase. And then there's just lots more stuff on here with lots of information about how to get it, what it's for, how to buy it. So it's all here, sfusd.edu/apps. It will redirect you to the page, the slightly longer list. But again, we're getting more questions about what is an approved app. And, right now, the Department of Curriculum and Instruction is deciding what is an approved app. I wish that we were in the sort of circumstances where we could provide the level of comprehensive curricular and legal review required for these apps by board policy and by law, but we are not. So we are starting with the applications that the Department of Curriculum and Instruction is prioritizing. So it's until we are in a position where we are able to develop a better departmental response to the unfortunate circumstances of the pandemic. We are going to have to be more responsive to the applications that can support all of our students, and not just the requests from specific school sites. Just skimming quickly through here. Okay, so I think it would also be useful to show you the student perspective on Clever. Again, students access this the same way as teachers. Just go to clever.sfusd.edu and just click the login with Google button. If students have those badges, that would be the pre-K to second grade students. They can click the Clever badge login. Everyone can do the login with Google button, and so. Let's just show you briefly the student perspective, which hopefully will work, because I was having some serious technical problems last time. Please work. Okay. Okay, so most students will only see a couple of teacher pages up at the top, but then they'll have all of their resources here in order. And so again, kind of the great thing is that it logs them in automatically. Assignments that are made within the applications will pop up automatically. So here's an assignment that I gave this teacher this student during a previous demo. So it's just a great way to make it a much smoother experience. Students only need to remember one login. They find everything in one place. It logs them in automatically. It connects them to these applications. So it's a great tool that just makes it much easier to log in. So that is the student perspective. And so yeah, that is all of the sort of official structured programming we had today. And so yeah, I just want to turn it over to you to try to address any questions that you might have.
So Aidan, one of the questions that I keep seeing come up a couple times a little back and was asked again by, I just saw it recently, but if you see a tool on the approved apps and you want to learn more about it after today's session, what would be the best way to learn more about that individual app?
That is a great question. So we're going to, so again, the answer is just sfusd.edu/apps. And so we're still working on sort of building everything out here, but one of the things that we want to make sure we have for everything is this section on coaching and support. So there is a link to the resources site. This particular resource has a slightly lower level of support, so you can get, so you're instructed to connect to the help desk. But our goal is for every single application to have details on how to get support. Sometimes that'll be how to contact the vendor. Sometimes it'll be a team at curriculum instruction. Sometimes it'll be a team within technology. So it's all, it's going to be different for everything, but the goal is that we're going to have all that information on this website. And if there's anything that you're missing, just send in a help ticket and we will find a way to connect you. So we're talking, I see a bunch of questions about sections and classes. And so something that I want to, where did that go? Okay. So Clever is connected to Synergy. And so the sections that you see in Clever are going to be based on the sections that you, oops, that's the wrong one, are going to be based on the sections that you have in Synergy. So that means that there's sort of a 3-stage process to try to figure out where are my students. And that is actually in a different presentation. So let me find that for you. There we go. So there's sort of a 3-step process for where are my students. The first is do you have a section in Synergy? And so Clever will only show the sections that you have in Synergy. If you do have a section in Synergy and it is not in Clever, then you should definitely contact us. If Clever is not matching what's supposed to be in Synergy, definitely do let us know. My understanding is that Synergy is not fully set up for the year yet, but by Monday it really ought to be because school's starting. So if you are not seeing the right classes in Clever as of Monday, please send in a ticket and let us know. The next thing is if you know that you are not supposed to have a section assigned to you, the easiest thing to do is to have yourself added as an additional staff member in Synergy. So that is something that your school site admin or your clerk can usually do. Yes, next Monday. Next Monday is when school starts, and I am told that they will have the schedules finished by then, but and I'm hoping that they do. And so finally, if you have been added if you are definitely in Synergy, either as a normal teacher or as a supplemental teacher, and you're still not seeing yourself in the applications that you expect to see, please send in a help ticket and let us know. We will get that figured out for you. Seeing a bunch of other questions. If somebody wants to just unmute themselves and ask, please jump right in. Otherwise, I will start searching through the chat and figure out what else is useful.
I am seeing, Aidan, a couple questions about kind of the combination of Clever to the learning management systems. And how does that work between, do I link Clever to my Google Classroom or Google Classroom to Clever?
So Clever itself, it's just a middle layer. It just connects all these applications together. It doesn't do anything itself. So the question is really whether the application itself supports Seesaw or Classroom. And so it's really going to depend. And I encourage you to explore those applications and see whether they have the capabilities you're looking for. So I'm going to log into Newsela and show you how to do it with Newsela, because that's the one, honestly, that I'm most familiar with. But it's really going to depend. And so I want to just encourage you to try it out and see what works. Because, like I said, there's a lot of these things, and there's something like 90 of them, and I don't know how they all work, honestly. So you can go in here and you can make an assignment, and I'm going to assign, and then you go to the assignment and you can share it. You can share to Google Classroom. So some applications will support sharing to Google Classroom, others by email. You're not going to see a lot of Seesaw support, but it's really just going to depend on the application, and I encourage you to explore it. I encourage you to Google the best ways to share assignments, because there may be help articles that can help you. But there is no, I truly wish that there was one easy answer, but it really just, it depends entirely on what each of these applications has done. For the families of younger students, they'll have the QR codes. So when the Department of Technology has distributed devices to all pre-K to second grade schools, and along with those devices has distributed pretty QR coded badges, and so it's going to be it's going to work super. It's going to be nice and smooth. Even if the students are not getting district devices, please do give them their badges, because they can use it to log in on other devices as well. So, and then if they misplace those badges, they can get replacements on Parent View. So it's pretty rad. Can QR codes be sent in one massive email through Synergy? They are in Parent View. Parents can log into Parent View and they can access the QR codes there. How do students get a badge? If they're pre-K to 2, badges will be have been mailed to the school sites. They can be handed out in person. Looks like Xander actually answered that. Or you can teachers can access the badges in Clever themselves, or you can request them from Parent View. Jennifer asks how we get Clever badges for students that were assigned to our schools after the first batch. We're working on it. My understanding from the Education Placement Center is that it will probably take about 3 weeks for enrollments to finalize. So you will probably be hearing from us in early September, because unfortunately there's just so many changes that we can't handle the changes sort of on an ongoing basis. So we will need to sort of handle that after things have calmed down a little.
So Aidan, I have a question.
Sure.
As far as workflow, would you recommend that if teachers are going to post to their main classroom page, that they post the Clever access, and then the students can just log into whatever app is being needed? Is that the best way?
Yeah, I think honestly the best thing to do is just sort of try it out. Many of these apps, they don't really work well with links. So I would suggest just trying to put instructions along the lines of go to Newsela and click on the assignment. So part of the great thing about Newsela, for example, or many of these applications, is that new assignments are the first thing that show up. So if I log into Clever as a, oops, I've got too many windows open. So if I log in as a student, the first thing that pops up is the assignments that my teacher has given me. This is what I get for trying to talk and think and type at the same time. So I apologize that I'm getting a little confuddled here. So when you click on Newsela as a student, the very first thing that pops up is the assignments. So you can see this is the new assignment from the teacher. Somebody asked about how to get things on the teacher page. Like I said, teacher pages, they kind of stink. They don't really work that well. What I would encourage you to do instead is have your students favorite them. They just hover over the icon, click the little heart, and they will pop up at the very top, and that's going to be the simplest thing. So have them favorite the resources, make the assignments within the application, click it and open it up, and it should be some of the first things they see. Rachel, thank you so much for, I'm so glad to have a fellow champion of student data privacy. Can't be sharing any student login information with any unapproved resources. So yes, that was not a test, but if it were, you would have answered correctly and gotten full credit. Thank you. Anything else I can help anyone with today?
Yeah, Aidan, this is Tracy Miller. And I was just wondering if there's some kind of cheat sheet that you guys have developed so that, like, I serve all students at the school. So I want access, but sometimes it seems like if I get admin access, I just see all the kids at once.
Yeah.
Where it'd be way easier for me to just be able to go into the teacher account, not into the teacher account, but you know what I'm saying? If they can add me as a teacher so that I can really co-teach with them and co-plan.
Yeah.
And I know some apps allow that and some apps don't. So I think one thing that would be really helpful for me, and I think fellow resource teachers, if there was some kind of cheat sheet like Seesaw, they can just add a teacher and infinite numbers of teachers. And well, like maybe another app, you're just going to be able to have admin access and deal with it.
That is a fabulous idea, actually. Xander, would you mind writing that in an email so I can keep answering and not forget it, please? Thank you. But great moderator. Let's hear it for Xander, everyone. Yes. Okay. What else can I tell you guys?
I have a question. My name is Anna. And hi. So right now, Synergy you can't link Google and Synergy because Synergy is not completed. So being able to access it from the grading setup is not present right now in Synergy. So I imagine it's going to be present on Monday. You may have gone over this, but will the names in Clever automatically populate into the Google Classroom separation? So in other words, once it's all set up with Synergy and Google, will Clever understand that, or do I have to go into Clever and do that again?
You do not have to do that in Clever. So Clever reflects what's in Synergy. So when the data is updated in Synergy, whenever that happens, bless you all for your patience. If there were anything I could do to make that move along faster, I would. When it is all set up in when it is all set up in Synergy, it will automatically sync to Clever. And that's actually one of the things that makes it so great. As things change in Synergy, it'll update your classes in all your applications. So you won't need to change. You won't need to change your Newsela, your RAS Kids, none of it. It'll all be updated automatically. It's delightful. Zule had a question. Sure, I was gonna use that as a closing. Some closing notes. We don't have to close right now, but we can definitely get it kicked off. The Clever Academy has been approved for PD credit, just like Digital District Day is eligible for PD credit. If you get approved by your supervisor in advance, you can take the Clever Academy. There's 4 one-hour units. You can get credit for 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them, and you can get this awesome certified champion seal of approval. You can get paid for studying, and you can become just a master of Clever. And I do want to encourage you all to do this because we're going to be using Clever a lot while we are in shelter in place. But even after we use after we finish shelter in place, Clever is still going to be the best way to access all of these applications, and we're still going to be using a lot of them. So I do want to encourage you. Talk to your supervisor, get this approved, get these trainings and certifications, get paid for it. So just talk to your supervisor about your PD credit. And also, I do want to encourage you You're welcome. I do want to encourage you, if you have questions, you might be tempted, hey, I've got a question about XYZ on Clever, and I know Aidan did that presentation. Why don't I email him? And there's two answers to that. The first is that we're all very specialized within the Department of Technology. Frequently, things look like they're Clever problems are really problems in Synergy or with something else or with Google, and I can't help you with those. And so it is it's slowing you down from getting an answer to your question, to email me or whoever it is in DOT, because we got to get you to the right person. And the help desk always knows who to send those questions to. The second thing is, especially during times when weird things are going on, like device distribution or the opening of school, I don't answer emails very quickly. I think a lot of people at DOT don't answer emails very quickly, but the help desk still does. They are going to be the most responsive people. So in order to make sure that your question goes to the right person and gets answered expediently, I do want to really encourage you to email your questions to help@sfusd.edu. Joseph asks about the certification. Oh, the link. Yeah, I guess you can't click that. But again, awesome and Googleable Clever Academy. First thing that comes up, it's this thing right here. When you complete the Clever Academy, you will log in with your SFUSD credentials, and that Clever will record it, and then they'll tell us, and so we can provide verification to your admin that you are eligible for to be paid for completing your professional development. Anything else I can tell you guys before I let you go? Debbie had a question about additional staff in Synergy. So she asks, if I am added as additional staff in Synergy, I should be able to see student names in Clever. So yeah, kind of. You can see your classes in, this is a student account, sorry. You can see your students in Clever, but that's not really the point. The point is to connect to apps. So I think the answer really is yes. You will be able to see your students, but the point is that it will connect your students to you in the apps that you want to use. So you can come up here to the classes page. And so we're going to see. So you can see your students within your class. But the point, the real power of Clever is that it is going to connect into your applications. So it's not just that when you are added as staff, you can see the students in your class. There's nothing you can really do in your Clever itself. The point is that it connects you. It connects your applications and it updates them automatically. So, I never entered the 20 students in the DOT class in Newsela. It pulled them automatically for me out of Clever. So that's
maybe just really quickly reframe, Aidan. So I think if I get what you're saying is, think of you put your assignments or your links on your LMS, either Google Classroom or Seesaw. When the student logs into it through your learning management site and they say, how do I log in? You say, please choose the Clever button to log in. And that's really what we're seeing Clever doing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Mithril asks about Raz Kids. Also, hi Mithril, hello. Raz Kids is centrally funded for PK to 2, and if your site, sorry, PK to 3, if your site was funding it within some of those grades, you'll actually get credit to be using for other grades, which is awesome. So a lot of our youngest kids are going to be getting RAS Kids, and some of our older kids are getting extended access as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Aidan. And thanks for all your help getting Argonne started this summer.
Oh, of course. My pleasure. All righty. Is there anything else that I can help with? Can you show us an example of how a student might access Clever via Google Classroom? So there's not really a Clever button. Really the point is for Clever, it's just clever.sfusd.edu, and then click the login with a Google button. So it's going to be, and then if they're logged into Classroom already, that means they're logged into Google, so it'll just take them right in. And so there's, because each application works a little differently, it's tough to put links into a deep, into the content itself. I know it makes things a little harder, but the idea is, just tell them, please go to clever.sfusd.edu, press that login with Google button, and then find the application. Is RAS Kids paid for by the district? RAS Kids is paid for grades K to 3. For use with older grades, it has to be site funded.
There was also a question, Aidan, about using fake names in for apps.
Nope, please don't do it. Because the distinction of this site is okay to use if you do XYZ is not something that we can rely on every student to understand every time. And we don't want a student to do something that exposes their personal information in a way that we don't want, or that their parents don't want, or their guardians don't want, and for them to think it's what you ask them to do. Because I think that the students would feel really uncomfortable if they thought that they were doing what you asked them to do, and it turns out that it wasn't. So I do want to encourage you to try to keep it simple. All right, so we're basically at time. I do want to say how grateful that I am, to you all for being here. As I think I may have mentioned in the beginning, Digital District Day was essentially my formative experience of joining San Francisco Unified. So it is a very, very exciting, special experience for me. So thank you all for being here and for making this a great experience, for your support of our students. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out, but please send the emails to help@sfusd.edu, because I want to make sure that you get help from the right person as quickly as possible. Even if it's me, I do like answering tickets, and I will do it if I'm the right person to help. But yeah, just really, really appreciate you all, and look forward to supporting you any way I can this year. Take care. Joseph asks how we will access the video recording. That is going to be on the SFUSD webinar recordings site.